Rachna, I am so glad you're here. I cannot wait to dig in and share your story with our audience on the podcast. And really just, I'm going to ask you some questions and, be as open as you can. Because I know when you and I started working together, uh, it was very new and you've come such a long way in, less than a year and a half even. And I really want to highlight that for people to give some people some hope when they feel like they're overwhelmed or it's not working, really how you were able to keep going in the harder times and what you've learned along the way. Sound good?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, first, why don't you tell everybody where you are, what you do, and why you love it?
Um, I think, like many moms who pick up the camera, my story also starts there with my daughters. In 2013, when my second one was born, is when I took them for a combined photo session and fell in love with the entire process because I styled their looks in multiple, I think 4 or 5, and I just fell in love with the entire process of how this photographer was putting them with the light and taking these shots. The images were brilliant. I was had also just left a very, very toxic corporate job, and so my entire focus was on being a mom, and I loved it so much. I was contemplating with what I was going to do next, and I found it. And then I went to the New York Film Academy, studied photography, and then that's where I started. And in that course was so many different aspects of photography: the manual operating of the camera, and composition, and color, and posing, and of course a little bit of editing. And then I did a multitude of a variety of workshops. And every morning it's like, what am I going to create today? I'm a creative, I'm an artist. I've done a lot of paint and artwork over the years. I cook a lot, so there's art on my food that I create. So I think I found my calling. It took some time, but really that passion to be able to create. And then the service element, along with my roots and of just being super hospitable, being an Indian. Um, Also, I went to school to study hospitality. So that kind of adds to the experience that I provide. And yeah, enjoying every moment of it.
Well, and you have a strong history in the hospitality industry, and
Mhm.
I do too. So I understand how like we can bring that into our customer service, and
Mhm.
you have really done that beautifully. What is your approach when you think about really working for not just a photo shoot client, but you treat them like they're the most VIP person in the universe? How do you thread that through in your customer service?
Absolutely. So the first thing is that I never call a client a client. I don't refer to them as that. Everybody who comes into my studio is a guest.
Mhm.
That's how I refer to them in every communication or verbiage that I use. Everybody before they come in is given multiple welcome emails after the design consult. Every meeting that I have with them in house, whether it's design consult, image reveal, the photo shoot, there's food and beverage involved in every meeting. So people are actually pretty surprised by that there's so much food and beverage going on here. On the day of the photo shoot, particularly, and image reveal, there's always, bubbly and sparkling wine and cheese. Because I remember when I went for a photo session, you get hungry, posing so
Yeah.
much, changing. Wow, it's quite a cardio workout. And especially when there's families and children, I want the children to feel sustained. I don't want the mothers to have to stress about these kids. And there's also nutritious snacks. Every time a guest leaves after a shoot, the next day I send out a thank you card that, hey, thanks for being here. I send a digital photo with a text. Thanks for coming. Cannot wait to see you at the image reveal, just like I would do when a guest came to my house or a family member came to my house. How am I welcoming them in? I go to my outside my studio. I welcome them in at the entrance, up the stairs. I bring them in. Carrying their bags down. We do a little welcome video. We do a photo where there's a welcome sign for them. And many guests mention that in their feedback that, oh my God, there was a welcome sign for us, Um, we help them with their bags in and we help them with their bags out. Just like I would do when a guest came to my house or a family member came to my house. And when they leave, I'm sending them a message that thanks for coming and a card the next day. And similarly, when they come back, welcome back. So all of those little pieces, when they receive their product, finally, it's wrapped in a bag. There's tissue. There's a ribbon. Just as I would give a present to a friend or a family member. So those little pieces create an impact.
Well, everything with you is very intentional. It has an impact at every step. And, when you very first came into my world, right, we were starting from ground zero.
Mm-hmm.
So as you were building that process, how did you approach designing that experience for your clients?
Again, everything was, of course, I took everything from what you taught in Studio Takeover, the processes on how to design the client experience, the steps. I took that, and then I think I added my flavor to it. So just like I just mentioned, how would I treat a guest when they came to my house? And that's everything that I've learned in my hospitality education. How do I want them to feel? How do I want to feel when I go to a hotel? So I always told myself, Rachna, you're going to be the four seasons of photography.
Yeah.
That is where my benchmark is, and I want to be exclusive. I want to be luxury without screaming that I'm a luxury product. I want to be that sought after. And I've achieved that because I meet people in gatherings in my town, in my neighborhood, in networking events, and they're like, one day I'm going to come in, one day, because I'm that exclusive product. It's like when we first started, my husband and I, in school, in college in India, we would say to ourselves, one day we will go and stay at a Four Seasons, and that's to do with, I want that experience very much, and I want to be able to afford it, when I'm ready. So that is what this is all about. I'm a high quality experience. I'm providing very high quality product and a memory that people will never forget.
That's fantastic. So, that you started building your business in January of last year.
Yes. 2000.
And like you were, again, very intentional about getting those baseline sales process in place and what your communication looked like. And throughout that year, right, you really started condensing space and time and compounding that experience. Do you remember the first time that you said, oh my gosh, I did it. This is working. This is incredible. Like what was that moment like? And what maybe was unexpected in that experience that helped you realize, like, I am on the right path, baby. This is fantastic.
Yeah, I will never forget it. It was early June of 2024. Because I just set up studio in I want to say March, April, one light, one backdrop, trying to figure it all out by March, and then inviting my friends over for testing, creating the portfolio. So I think it was my fourth shoot. And we did the reveal. She had a daughter who's a good friend of my older daughter. And the husband came in right after when the mom had looked at the images, and he fell in love. And I remember selling a 30 image collection, which was my middle it was my top collection. And they wanted 2 wall art pieces. And I remember punching that on the calculator. Not even the phone. I had a separate calculator. My heart was palpitating because you had already trained me by then about valuing the work, the pricing. We had gone through it based on your guidance. And my hands were shaking so much that I gave the calculator to the dad and I said, "Do you mind just adding everything up and putting the tax?" And my voice was shaking, my heart was racing. And because they were kind of my friends, because they were friends of parents of my daughter's friend, and we had, a good community, he's like, "Yeah, sure." And he did it. The number was written down. I texted them everything, followed up with an email and thank you in the evening. I remember I came up, my husband and the daughters were there, and I took my husband, stepped out. I was shaking so hard, and I said to him, "I just did my first almost 5K sale, and it was X number. And I think I want to say it was a $4,300 sale." And of course, he was ecstatic for me. And yeah, that's when I was like, okay, this works. I can do this with a little bit more, self confidence
Sure.
and faith. I know I got this.
Well, and to see like, okay, we're doing some portfolio building, we're making offers of value. So, like, okay, gift vouchers are involved and talking with people. But even still, the byproduct of that being over $4,000. And I would even venture to say, because they're friends, it's even harder.
Absolutely.
Right? Because now you're like, I know you came in on a gift voucher, but this, what you want is actually going to be $4,000.
Totally.
Right. Like that's when the nerves kick in.
Totally.
Yeah. So that's really fantastic. And he fell in love with them, which is amazing. Because how many times have we heard about how like the partners and the husbands will kill the sale instead of like, no, they want to love their families just as much as we do.
Yeah.
So what was one of the more challenging times in your journey that showed you who you are? Where you were like digging in hard and you came out on the other side and were like, that was tough, but I did it?
I think I gave that question the hardest thought. And I want to say it was right at the beginning of this journey with you when we started working together, and a little bit before that. So, September 2023, when the calling came, and that came because I used to photograph before since 2015. I was doing children and families. I had a model in place, but it was not a business model because I had never learned photography business. Nobody had ever taught me that. I didn't know that it existed to go out and learn business or photography. I didn't know all these educational platforms existed. And so obviously things tanked, selling 25 images for $250 and all that. And also, in between, COVID happened and I had some of my own personal mental health issues. So I was in a not so good space. And then we had moved homes and my girls had started going to a new school. I remember September 2023, we were in Australia with my family, and my daughter asked me, "Mama," and I was introducing myself to someone. I think my younger one, who's very inquisitive, came and asked me quietly, "Mama, you always introduce yourself as a photographer to people, but I have not seen you taking pictures of anyone with your camera." And that hit hard. And it was a wake up call. And I'll always be grateful to this. And, I think the universe conspires, and I'm very spiritual and I really believe in it. What are the odds that that very evening I was browsing my email and I saw a post came in about the Portrait Masters Conference in Scottsdale, Arizona. I signed up and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go. I came back from Australia, went for the conference, and incidentally, it was going to be the last TPM. And that's where I met you. So everything, happens for a reason, and I believe it. We met. I found you so spiritual because I remember your little sign. There were different coaches, and it said, "Talk to me about money, business, universe." And I never forget that. And I was like, wow, and that just stuck with me. And I remember, you may not remember this, I've told you this before. When we had that talk, we'd done the thing, the Rara had happened, and I was leaving the next day. I saw you in the porch and you waved at me and you blew a fine kiss. I'm like, I don't know her, but look at this energy, that warmth, And then the email came again about your coaching program. And I was like, this is it. It's calling me. And around the same time, this 40 over 40 ad came on out of nowhere, again on my Instagram. And again, the universe, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to sign up for this. I didn't go for that. And in one of the questions, she had asked, why is now a good time to do this? I said, I'll tell you when we talk. I don't want to talk about it right now. She called me the next day and we had a conversation for 45 minutes, more than the photo shoot, about photography and about how I've wanted to do this and so on. I didn't go for that shoot for 4 or 5 months. And when I did, we had already been working together. And when I saw those pictures, I cried so much because they reminded me of who I was and who I can be. And that photo shoot changed my life. And I think the resilience is about, I want to go back and fix myself. I'm going to find a therapist and fix myself and get quality sleep so I can perform in the day. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to study all the content on the studio takeover. I'm going to build on self-value, which I haven't all these years. It took 46 years to get out of that imposter syndrome that I'm not valuable. What I do doesn't matter. I'll be hiding in front of people. You know,
It's just me.
yeah. And when you used to say, do those mirror exercises, say out the pricing, feel that confidence, I used to do it. I did it. And now I talk about it to other photographers I meet in different events. I'm like, please raise your pricing, and like, or in our mentorship groups, sometimes you've asked me to talk to other photographers when they call me, because I believe it. I feel confident about what I do now.
Well, if you're living it, Rachna.
Yeah.
Because when if I come back to the reflection, and I remember seeing you leave being like, oh my God, bye. Right? Because that connection matters.
Yeah.
Because when we're trying, it's because we don't know what to do. We know that we love the thing and we want to make it work, but we don't know how, and we don't understand the why of each how.
Yeah.
Until you start doing it. And that's where that confidence comes from.
Correct.
And that was, monumental, is looking and saying, I want this, and owning it out loud to follow not just the inspirational moments, but even the days when it feels hard. When your daughter looks at you and says, that doesn't feel true.
Exactly.
And changing your behavior and your approach to say, oh my gosh, because what does it mean if I say I'm this and my daughters don't even see it?
Yeah.
What do you think? Have you seen any impact with them since then about the work you're doing now? Like, how is that overflowing into family?
Oh, totally. It's, there was an Indian movie I had watched. It was about this woman who cannot speak English. She's from the south of India. And the husband often will make remarks about it and taunt her and, look down upon her. And she has 2 daughters. So she comes to the United States to visit her family and is determined, finds an ad about an English speaking course and goes and enrolls. And at the end of the movie, there's a scene where she's giving a speech, or is asked by her niece, whose wedding it is, to give a speech. And the husband says, oh, sit down, I'll give the speech. She's like, oh, no, I'll talk.
I got this.
Husband doesn't know she took this English course and gives the full speech in English. And he's like, his jaw is dropped. And the crux of the speech, she says, is if you don't help yourself elevate, you will not gain the respect from those around you. And that had stayed in my mind, I can see that difference in the shift in the energy all around me, in my home, in my family, in the house, in distant family. I think the greatest word of the year for me in 2025, thanks to you, was boundary. And they know, okay, mama's got work to do. They got this, but also they respect it and they love it. Wow, mama, that was an amazing photo shoot that you did. They'll come and help me. They'll help me set up, stock up. They'll help me put backdrops in and out. They'll help take B-roll. They'll set up my, reels and cap cut videos. My older one loves that. They'll model me, help me test the light. The younger one loves that. So yeah, they participate and they help, and I can see the interest levels. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So, what do you love about the journey that you've been on with your business and the growth? Like, what, not necessarily the most validating moment,
Mhm.
but that one part of your business that you just adore and you're so excited that that gets to be a part of what you do every day?
Yeah. So, I've always been a journey person. I feel like I always enjoy the journey so much, or it leaves me with so many more fond memories than the actual destination. You're going somewhere, the train ride, the popcorn, the snacks, the chit chat, looking outside, than when you actually got there.
Mm-hmm.
School, the memories of being in school than when you graduated. College, dating my husband rather than the marriage. He's not going to like the sound of this, you know. But I think those flashbulb moments that I had, the first time I made that $5,000 month, the wonderful post that you made, the first 4,200 sale, the first 10K month, that challenge that you had put and I won it and you coming, all those little moments. But I think the real big one was that one time a woman started crying on the set. I showed her a picture
Mm.
um, of herself behind the camera. And I was like, wow, you know, and we always sit after the shoot and the chats that we have. It's like, wow, I just made another new friend, and those deeper connections. Um, that is so precious to me. I feel like that is what I live for, and that is what I'm doing for. And there's so many conversations and revelations that come out of it. They'll talk about how they felt reconnected with themselves today, how they'd share that the last time I had my hair and makeup done was on my wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can't remember the last time I got pampered like this. Or, wow, I'm going to go out on a date tonight, with my husband because I feel so good, and in the beginning, I didn't realize it, or I was like, again, that, oh,
Sure.
am I really making an impact? That feeling. But I'm like, wow, my work is impactful. Whether it's a photo of a woman for headshots, what she's going to do with her career, whether it's somebody pivoting and they want these multitude of images in variety of looks because they're unsure what jobs they want to apply for, so they want different looks. Or it's a mom and me because she just wants this moment with her daughter because her daughter came really hard to her. She tried for years to conceive her. Or it's a family celebrating each other. They're like, you know what? My two kids are in college, two are at home, and this was a way for us to just be together and have a day together. How beautiful is that? To be able to give someone that gift. And it's such a happy job. And yet it's an emotional job that tugs at my heartstrings every day. And I feel like it's the job for me. So I'm just so grateful every single day that I'm shooting and doing what I do.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well,
Sometimes
and
in my dreams, I'm shooting.
and when you realize, that that connection is so deepened, yes, through the vehicle of the camera, right? The photography. And so we're constantly, trying to get better at posing and at lighting so that we can give more variety and a better experience for the product. But the experience of being photographed and going through, I call it a sales process because that's what it is. It's a
Totally.
sales process because it's a business. That doesn't mean it isn't sacred,
Totally.
because what you're asking people to do is not just like honor who they are, but reconnect with themselves.
Totally.
And so if we're able to do that throughout that process, through education, through, you know, food and beverage, right? You're not just slapping cheese on a plastic plate, right? You very intentionally curate beautiful tea sets and delicious food, and it all looks like art because now we're mirroring every piece of that process with what it is that we're creating, which is what allows them to really deepen appreciation for themselves just in how they made the decision to work with you in the first place.
Totally.
Like it compounds. All of that together creates a beautiful experience, and you're facilitating that.
Totally.
So what is next for you looking forward? Like, obviously, we want to keep that consistency going, but what else is on the horizon for you? What are you really intentionally, because I know how intentional you are with everything you do, right? Intentionally, what are we seeding to start looking forward to in the new year?
I am working towards trying to attract more branding clients, so creating some branding offers, personal branding offers, I mean. That's one. And the other one is trying to, again, like seeding the coaching and education space, but just very slowly getting there in terms of like some education material that can be available to those based on everything that I've learned and been able to put in place.
Oh, Rachna, you need to put together customer service.
Yeah.
Like, come on, I will help. Like, let's put it together and make a product with it.
Right, something like that, and then while doing that, I want to continue to kind of smoothen and oil the moving parts in terms of systems, which I've shared with you. Make just tighten everything, relook at everything, and see what can get better. Like I'm almost every 2 months, I look at my email templates. I'm like, what can be better? What can I, so constantly just looking to see what can be improved. I've just, redesigned the studio based on our conversation when you come over and ordered everything because it got so crazy after that. So more pieces. What can I, put together so that the shooting time or every client experience, of course, it gets elevated, but the entire shooting time gets a little bit narrower and smoother.
Streamlining your workflow.
Efficient, correct. So,
well, not just efficient, but that's what creates flow.
Better flow.
Right? When we have, like, if you think about walking into a Gucci store, right? You're greeted by the security guy that's standing out front.
Right.
They pull the rope, you walk in, you're greeted again inside, you're offered selections, you're offered refreshment, you're given a private room, you go through, all of the things. That isn't by happenstance.
Right.
That's workflow.
Right.
And when we start our businesses, it's because we love creating art. But we do need to measure the impact of every step that it has for every client, right, as well as how it impacts us and our capacity to execute. So by streamlining your workflow, you're improving upon their experience. Mm-hmm. And then when you look at your space, a couple of times you referenced like when I came to your studio for that VIP day, and we shot all day, and it was how can we adjust the space to maximize impact. Right. And maximize impact means increase capacity for sales and experience. Right. Right. And so what can we shift to improve your shooting workflow? Right. And the sales process, right, and maintain your level of excellence in the service. Right. When we can start to analyze our business and measure those results on a micro level, the impact is exponential. Mm-hmm. And I love that you continually want to refine. Yeah. Because your impact is so huge. I watched you photograph several different people, and every one of them was just looking at you as like the authority. And, oh, that's a wonderful idea, Rachna. And this is such a beautiful place. And you've done all of this from a home studio. Yeah. Like, that's a big deal. Because most photographers are like, oh, I can't because. And instead, you really positioned it as, this is my most sacred space. You are welcome here. Yeah.
Most definitely. And sacred it is because I think I shared with you that every session, as I shared, I'm very spiritual. Every session begins with a meditation and a little prayer inside the studio
Mhm.
before the guest is about to arrive. So it's very sacred.
It is very sacred because what we're creating isn't just the product. It's not just photos. That we have to anchor the value in that, right? But the value is in the love we pour into it to create it in the first place.
Yeah.
And you've done that quite well. I'm very excited to see how you put these pieces together, not just for the branding clients or for the coaching offer, but how you bring all of that together so that you can really position that as authority, because you can, and create the 4 seasons of Rachna. I think that's wonderful. Well, if you could leave our listeners with one insight to really like help them move the needle, make a different choice, what would you say?
I would say that everything that I've been able to achieve is by trying to build genuine connections. I've gone to every possible event that I could, every possible gathering that I could, every opportunity that came my way, I went to it. I spoke to people and about my business every moment that and every opportunity I got by not sounding salesy, but sounding from a place of service. And I built connections, and sometimes those connections yield business after even 6 years, 5 years, 17 months, 18 months, sometimes 2 months. Sometimes a same person will shoot with you twice a year. That happened to me last year. Sometimes you'll give someone a gift session, and that will yield into somebody else watching that photo and giving you a 8,000 business. That happened to me. So just that belief and believing in the universe and networking and building relations was the most successful piece for me. And I think we just have to, that's, I think, the biggest thing that
Well, it's connection, right? I read this article the other day that was about a real estate agent. And he's built like a $6 billion empire and started like $20,000 in debt or something. And he built it all on relationships and said he does more networking than any 7 people combined. Right. But he has 2 C's, and one is anytime he meets somebody new, it's compliment, right? A sincere compliment.
Totally.
And connect. So within 10 minutes of meeting someone, and this is important, within 10 minutes of meeting someone, or not just meeting them, getting their information, he will connect with them in some way, shoot them a text. Hey, this is Brad. We just met 7.5 minutes ago. Really loved connecting. Would love to deepen that connection or meet again or whatever. But that happened over the course of like 8 years, from 20,000 in debt to a $6 or $8 billion empire. And it's all because of the relationships that he built. Yeah. So I don't care if you're in photography, if you're in food and beverage, if you're in the hotel industry, if you're in accounting. Yeah. All business revolves around relationships.
Totally. I was reading an article in the Times Magazine last night, Tiny Magazine, and it said the future leaders, the number one thing that they'll thrive on, if they haven't already been thriving on this for the last, 100 years, is relationship building. And I believe that. My husband says that if he's got anywhere in life, it's because of relationships.
Absolutely.
I tell my kids that every day. That's all it's about.
That's fantastic. Well, Rachna, thank you so much for being here. I love you to pieces.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad we get to celebrate this milestone together, this episode, because I'm just so proud and so impressed and so excited for you.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you so much.